G'day everyone from Kinsale Community School over there. It's Mark Sparvel here. I'm a Director of Education for Microsoft, coming to you sort of live. I think it's the day before from Washington State, Microsoft headquarters. Like you attending this training session, I'm a teacher and a school principal for about 25, 30 years, mostly in Australia and now relocated to the United States. So I've been asked by Gerard just to say a few words, to spend a few minutes to talk with you about your school celebration. I know that you're a showcase school, Microsoft Showcase School, and makes me really happy. I kick-started that program 7 years ago, and I haven't been directly involved for about 3 years now, but I remain really passionate about the work of our global showcase schools and also our Microsoft Innovative Expert Educators. A couple of quick things of interest maybe. Up on the screen, you'll see a link in the top left corner. This is a community that I manage on Facebook called The Cell in Edu Community. So there's about 7,200 global educators. It's not just about technology, but we do recognize that it's through technology young people make sense of and contribute to their world. So please join that community and connect with educators from across the globe around social and emotional learning. If we're not already following one another on Twitter, why not? There's my Twitter handle. Make sure you follow me. I'm always tweeting out about research and evidence-based practices as it relates to pedagogy. And also I gather resources around social and emotional learning, and I put them together in a deck. So that's the aka.ms/cell top 10. There's now about 15, but it covers all sorts of really practical ways that you can turn social and emotional learning into more invitational design and less instructional design. So let's have a chat, and then I'll pass you back to your session. With this push to sort of remote learning, and then from remote learning to hybrid learning and in between, it got me thinking about when I started teaching, and if I'd shifted to remote or hybrid learning back when I started teaching, these would have been the tools that I had available to me. And I'm sure some of you that have been teaching for a while probably recognize some of those. And when people tell me technology is hard now, they never had to get slides up the right way in that slide projector, or they never had to spend all of recess time carefully ruling faint lines on a chalkboard so the handwriting didn't go down. And these days we have a lot more tools, and more on this afterwards about the kinds of tools that we have to help us connect to our learners. A really exciting announcement the other day when we think about tools that we have now was the addition of some specific cell features into some well-known Microsoft tools. So sitting within Teams now, we have a cell praise function, which details are on a blog which was released on the 17th. But you can see them on the screen. These are very carefully chosen social and emotional skills which ladder up to the big 5 personality traits. The same personality traits that the OECD is measuring at the moment as part of their global social and emotional skills study, global study. Results are going to be released in January next year, so I hear. So we now have these praise features. Now the same beautiful icons are also available right now in OneNote as a sticker pack, a social and emotional learning sticker pack. Plus, we announced on that blog on the 17th that we were releasing Reflect, which is a messaging extension within Teams, which essentially acts like an automatic poll that you can set in place to ask questions like, how are you feeling about that assignment? Or how is the school feeling we're going? Or, you know, how did you think you went on that last activity? Or what does the staff feel about climate at the moment? So this is an automatic extension built into Teams that can quickly gather some information around emotion. So these are features which are available right now. I ran a TED Talk the other week in India, and my topic was around just what matters most, and that hasn't changed. And when we think about technology and kids and the facts that now we're engaging between the glass a lot more than we were before, some fundamental things remain true, that Young people want to be seen, to be heard, to belong, and to have some sort of control, particularly now that's critical. And we need to leave a technology to ensure that young people have a voice, have choice, and have agency, to be seen, to be heard, to feel a sense of belonging, and to have control. It's not the curriculum content that's presenting a challenge in remote and hybrid learning. What's presenting a challenge is the 1,000 small micro-social collisions that happen every day at school, which shape people's view of themselves and of the world. It's the fact that Damien smiled at me when he saw me get out of the car in the morning. It's the fact somebody made room for me to sit next to them in the circle, or somebody waited for me to walk with me to the oval, or when I dropped something, that somebody stopped and picked it up, or that teacher smiled at me, or the cool kid just looked at me and gave me a wink. These micro social encounters are places and spaces where we develop our social awareness and our self-awareness. So emotions matter greatly, and I'm really happy that you have a focus on social and emotional learning in your workshops today, because at the moment I would say it's fundamental and it's no longer ornamental. And we know from research that the impact of a strong social and emotional learning program lasts a lifetime. This is my current favorite bit of research, paper and written over. Social and emotional learning skills for life and work from the Social Mobility and Poverty Commission. What's interesting about this is they tracked some kids from kindergarten in the 70s until they were 40 years old. And they found out that engagement in social and emotional learning programs had a whole range of benefits that stretched long into life: increased civic engagement, increased volunteerism, overall subjective wellness, happiness was increased, more likely to be employed, less likely to have issues of addiction and violence, less likely to be engaged in crime. So many benefits. One interesting tip: out of the 5 social and emotional skill groups considered, self-control and self-regulation mattered most consistently for adult outcomes. And generally, social and emotional skill development mattered more than cognitive and knowledge development. Interesting. So how are you feeling? Professor Mark Brackett from Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence would say, we need to be less like an emotion judge at the moment and more like an emotion detective. We need to be able to recognize, understand, label, express, and ultimately regulate emotions. And that doesn't mean suppress emotions. It means regulate them, because all emotions matter and have a purpose. And this is the mood meter from Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. On the x-axis, it runs from pleasant through to unpleasant, but each quadrant also ranges from low energy to high energy, and very useful to use in schools and with students to help develop emotional vocabulary, but also to recognize that whilst I might currently be feeling worried, I might want to be feeling a little bit low energy happy. Maybe I just want to feel content. I'm currently worried. I'd sooner be content. Do I have a strategy to get from worried to content? Now, if we had more time, we would do that activity using Microsoft Forms to ask, how are you feeling? We asked educators how they were feeling, 5,000 of them, and they're feeling anxious, uncertain, and stressed. And this is because schools are an emotional roller coaster, and at the moment the ride is much more like a ghost train than the teacup ride in Disney World. And just in wrapping up, emotions are the gatekeeper to cognition, to attention, and to motivation. Therefore, they are tied directly to academic outcomes, let alone life outcomes. They affect all of the things that you can see on the screen. They can be learned and they can be boosted. One of the key takeaways is the critical importance of developing an emotional vocabulary. You have to name it to tame it. Think about it. Kids learn about 3,000 words per year. Only 10% of those words come from direct instruction. The rest come from use. If we have to name it, emotions, in order to tame it, where do we learn those 90% of words? We learn them through everyday use and gentle introduction of increasingly more granular language to describe emotions. That's all I want to say. I just want to wish you well. I want to thank Gerard again for reaching out and grabbing me on Twitter and asking me to do this. I hope that you have an amazing day. Please tweet out with @Sparvel. Let me know if this was interesting. Share your great ideas with me, and let's keep up the conversation. Thanks so much.